If you are an actor, a dancer, a singer, a writer, a visual artist, a filmmaker, performer, any kind of creative soul, the work of being an artist is not only about making more art. The deeper work is becoming the kind of artist who can keep creating without disappearing into pressure, comparison, or noise. Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast, where artists of all kinds come to fuel their passion, sharpen their skills, and thrive in their creative lives. I'm your host, Lara Pilcher, life and creativity coach and fellow artist, here to support you on your artistic journey. Whether you're a performer, writer, visual artist, or any kind of artist, this is the space for real talk, practical advice, and inspiring stories. Subscribe and join us each week for more inspiration and actionable insights to fuel your artistry. Let's dive in and get inspired. Welcome back to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist, the podcast for artists, performers, makers, storytellers, and creative souls who want to reconnect with their creative identity in a world that moves so very fast. I'm Lara Pilcher, International Coaching Federation, professional certified life coach and creativity coach, performer, speaker, and author. And in this episode, we're talking about the creative identity work that artists are really doing. But this one is a little different, which you've already heard in the title, because I want to step back and name the bigger thread that we've been working through and walking through together for these last handful of episodes. If you've been listening for a while, you may have noticed that this podcast is not just about how to be more productive. It's not just about how to post more, make more, plan more, book more, push harder. Those things have their place. But the deeper work underneath so many of our conversations is this. How do you stay connected to who you are as an artist when the world around your work keeps pulling you towards comparison, speed, visibility, self-doubt, and beyond? That is the creative identity work. And if this kind of conversation is helping you stay ready in your artistic life and show up, follow Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist so you don't miss what's next. Because these episodes are designed to build on each other, not just sit as random weekly thoughts. And while I'm talking about that, there's also a heartbeat that threads through my work, and I discuss it in the bigger way in my book, Audacious Artistry, Reclaim Your Creative Identity and Thrive in a Saturated World. It's traditionally published and came out this year. Audacious Artistry, Reclaim Your Creative Identity and Thrive in a Saturated World. It's about reclaiming the deeper identity that helps you create with courage, stability, and integrity with yourself in a saturated world. It comes with a free group study that you can download and run with other artists and discuss the questions at the end of each chapter. And you can get the free group study and the book at larabiancapilcher.com/book. Right, let's talk about the artist struggle. Let's name something really clearly here. Many artists come looking for a strategy problem to solve. They think, maybe I need a better routine, or I need more discipline. I need a better platform or to build a platform. I need a clearer niche. I need to post more. I need to get unstuck. I need to be more confident. I need to stop comparing. And yes, sometimes there are practical things to adjust in the artist's life. The dancer may need a better training rhythm. An actor might need a clearer audition practice or self-tape quality of work. A singer may need consistent vocal care. Maybe there's something going on. A writer may need a writing schedule so that they can actually find the time. A visual artist may need better systems for sharing or selling work. A filmmaker may need a more realistic production plan in order to show up fully. But underneath the strategy question, there is often a deeper identity question, one that artists rarely really look at. Who am I? as an artist when the results are slow? Who am I when I'm not being chosen? Who am I when the room feels crowded? Who am I when other people seem further ahead? Who am I when the work is quiet for a season? Who am I when the world is changing faster than I can keep up? That is the part many artists have not been given enough language for or taken the time to reflect on. So they try to fix the surface. They buy the planner maybe, they rewrite the bio every week, change the content strategy, promise themselves they will be more consistent, watch what everyone else is doing, try to find the perfect next step. And again, none of those things are wrong. But if the deeper identity is shaky, every strategy becomes heavy. Because now the strategy is not just helping you share your work. It is trying to prove that you are allowed to be an artist. And that is exhausting. Whether you're a dancer, actor, singer, writer, visual artist, you may know this feeling. You are not only trying to do the work of being a creative, you are trying to feel real as an artist while you do it. Be taken seriously, matter to the world around you. You are trying to hold your nerve when the evidence is not yet obvious a lot of the time. You are trying to keep your voice clear in a world that keeps telling you to sound more like what already works. You are trying to keep going without making visibility your entire lifeline, although all of the stuff around you seems to be informing you that it is. If this is hitting something for you, send the episode that you're listening to another artist who might need language for what they're carrying too. Sometimes one honest sentence can help someone feel less alone in the work of being an artist. Let's dive into the psychology around this. Let's bring it into maybe a simpler coaching lens. Because human beings, we are actually meaning makers. We do not only experience events, we interpret them. For example, an audition might not call you back, you might not get a call back, and the mind may say, I'm not good enough. Your mind just interpreted the silence as that. A post that you put out with your art or something like that might get ignored, and the mind interprets that as no one cares. A draft feels clunky, and the mind may say, oh, you're no good, you've lost your voice. A slow season arrives, and your mind might say, I'm falling behind. The event is one thing and the meaning you attach to it is actually another thing. And for artists, that meaning can become deeply personal because the work is personal to you. Your art may carry your body, your voice, your imagination, your training, your taste, your history, your wounds, your longing, your faith, your questions, your sense of beauty, your way of seeing. So when the work meets silence or rejection or comparison or confusion, it does not always feel like a neutral data point, does it? It can feel like a verdict on you. And that is why your creative identity work matters. Who are you as an artist? Who is your sense of self? Do you know who you are before the room tells you? And that is an ongoing work, because without it, artists can become trapped in what I call response-based identity. Response-based identity says, I am okay if the work is noticed, I am valid if the room responds, I am an artist if I am chosen, I am safe if I am praised, I am allowed to keep going if there is visible progress. But that is a very unstable place to live, particularly as a freelance professional artist. And I lived in that place for a long time as a performer because everything revolved around booking the next job and auditioning. And it seems like a sense of identity and that they just don't feel compatible. But what I've realized as I've done this longer is that there is a different way to approach from the inside what I do. Because response moves, and being in that unstable place to live, because response moves. Creative identity work helps you build a steadier inner life, an inner frame. Not one that ignores feedback, not one that pretends rejection doesn't hurt, because it does. Not one that says outcomes don't matter, because for many of us, they really do. but one that says I can learn from response without being defined by it. Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying there's no emotional layer. I can be disappointed without disappearing or without drawing a verdict on my worth. I can adapt without abandoning myself. I can keep practicing even when the proof is still forming in my life. Here's the truth I want you to get. The deeper work is not becoming untouched by the world. It is becoming less easily erased in your identity as a creative soul by it. That matters because I do not believe artists need to become detached, numb, or above it all in order to survive, because you are allowed to want this. You are allowed to care. You are allowed to want your work to matter. You are allowed to want your work to be seen, read, heard, booked, funded, performed, published, shared, and received. You are allowed to want success as an artist. You also, however, need a place inside you that does not collapse and draw verdicts every time the world is slow to respond, which it is. Just the stats as being an actor alone, 95% rejection is the stat. You have to be able to live that if you choose that life without going into a depressive spiral every time there's another no. That's not ego. There's a place inside of you that can live differently. That is stewardship of an artist's life. If you want a clearer next step for this kind of work, I created a free resource called Stop Begging for Scraps. It's actually a momentum reset. It's a free on-demand 30-minute masterclass video that you can watch in your own time with a notebook and do the reflection and coaching questions within it. There's no booking, no pressure. It's designed to help you pause, take stock of where you are, and begin moving again with more clarity. You can find that at larabiancapilcher.com/masterclass. So, what is the work I have been walking with you through these last handful of episodes? It is the work of remembering that your identity as an artist has to be stronger than cultural noise, because noise is everywhere. AI noise, algorithm noise, industry noise, comparison noise, productivity noise, branding noise, numbers noise, everyone telling you what matters most, everyone trying to sell you a shortcut, everyone trying to make you panic just enough to buy, click, copy, or rush. The artist needs a deeper center than noise. This is also the work of understanding that visibility is a tool, not a lifeline. That line matters. Visibility is a tool, not a lifeline, because many artists now know they need some level of visibility if they are saying, I'm an artist and I want to live from this. I'm not talking about the hobby ones that do it for therapy or whatever. That's not really what I'm talking about right now. You may need to share your work, talk about your work, let people know what you do, build relationships, use platforms, because visibility when you're an artist, for most of us, if that's what we do as a profession, really does matter. You might need to pitch yourself, invite people in, have conversations, make calls. But visibility cannot become the source of your entire worth. It is a hard thing to walk out artist life. It's rewarding and it's meaningful, but it's hard. I'm just going to say that. If you are going for the publishing deal, the West End contract or Broadway, a record deal, whatever it is, these things are hard. It cannot become the only sign, though, that your work matters. It cannot become the place you run to every time you feel uncertain is, I am not enough, and spiral. Visibility is useful, but it is not strong enough to carry your entire identity. And I've heard things, about authenticity dissolving competition. But the reality is that being yourself doesn't mean the world will be less competitive. But what it does do is that there is a place here where the conversation is that competition is inevitable. It exists. It'll always be there. But comparison within that and the way it affects your identity, that's optional. And you can navigate that the more you go along and learn how to walk out a sense of self that's stronger because you're doing the work of that, quite frankly. Not because competition magically disappears, but because when you become clearer on what is true for you as a creative and what you bring and who you are, comparison has less room to boss you around. You stop asking, how do I become more like them? And start asking, what is mine to make, say, practice, carry, and steward today? What is my one step towards it? And that question can change a lot of things in your life. This is also the work of honouring the other career that you have that might be what you call your side hustle, or I like to say parallel career, without treating it as a failure. It might be the very gift in your life that's sustaining you and enabling you to continue to be the artist that you are. And there's a place of coming to gratitude about that. Many artists do have other jobs, roles, responsibilities, income streams, and life demands. And we often are in this place of tension, hoping that'll all go away so we can continue to be the artist. And all of us, it's a valid dream to want to live off our art. But it doesn't automatically mean that you're less serious for having those things. A parallel career, and I talk about this in my book, Audacious Artistry, there's a whole chapter on it, and there's a mindset shift around it, can protect the art. It can give your art room to breathe. It can support a creative life that is not constantly begging for survival, and that's important too for an artist, but it needs intention. Otherwise, the practical work can swallow the artistic life whole. And this is the work of choosing stewardship over the spotlight. And if you get the spotlight, great, but you've chosen to steward your creativity first. Spotlight can be beautiful. A full room is nice. A sold-out audience is great. A good review, oh, wonderful. A moving performance. A reader who writes to you and says, you changed my world. A listener who says, that helped me stay, and whatever it is for them. A role, a grant, a gallery, a contract, a tour, a publication, those things can really matter. But stewardship of your art asks a deeper question. How am I caring for what has been entrusted to me and what I've chosen to do with the gifts in my life? My voice, my craft, my body, my attention, my imagination, my courage, my creative responsibility, my relationships, my audience, my message, my integrity. That is the work, not just make more, not just be visible, not just book it and blessed, not just get motivated. Creative identity work is the slow, brave work of becoming the artist who can keep returning after rejection, returning after silence, returning after success, returning after disappointment, returning after being misunderstood, returning after a long pause, returning when the industry changes, returning when life is full, returning when you are not sure who is even listening yet. Easier said than done, because I met a writer the other day, never been published. They do write, they enjoy writing, and had a book on their laptop for 10 years. And I was curious about that. And that was one rejection that did that, and they never tried again. That is very, very common. And if you have been here week after week, this is what we've been talking about and practicing. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but steadily every week talking about these sorts of things. We've been putting language around things artists often feel, but don't always know how to name. Things like the fear of disappearing and being insignificant or feeling it, the pressure to keep producing, the ache it causes when you feel unseen, the pull of comparison, the challenge of visibility in this world, the longing to create work that actually matters, the desire to build a creative life that feels honest, stable or sustainable and alive, so that you have felt and listened to in these episodes these sorts of themes, meeting you in a deeper place. That's not accidental. This is the work of continuing to show up as a creative in this world. And you are not behind because you still need this work. This is actually the foundation, and it is the ongoing work. Artists do not outgrow the need to return to identity. It's not something you arrive at and just stay, like a graduation or a degree for identity. It's an ongoing practice and work. And we return because the world keeps trying to name us by other things, like numbers and roles and income and awards and followers and output and gatekeepers and speed. But those things are not sturdy enough to be your name. They may be part of your story. They are not the whole of who you are. This week I had one of the biggest offers of my life. I can't talk about it yet, but a really great breakthrough in my career for the work that I've been doing. So shocked that I had to kind of double take on a few things, and I'll talk about it in a future episode. But my identity was stable. It's a wonderful thing when you actually have success and something is offered to you, particularly for the 95% no's that I do get because I go for big things all the time. But even those successes don't get to say who I am. I already knew before that email who I was. I was already determined to show up the way I am in the world. So those things become great data that, yay, I'm heading the right direction and someone's validating that, and that's wonderful. But I already knew who I was, and that's what I'm getting at here. So here's your Creative Spark challenge. Here is your Creative Spark exercise for the week, the coaching thing I give in every episode. Take 10 minutes and answer this question. What part of my artistic identity am I being invited to reclaim right now? Is it your voice, your courage, your attention, your permission to take up space, your willingness to begin again, your devotion to your craft, your trust in slow work? Or maybe it's your ability to create without constantly proving yourself? Write the answer down. Then ask, what is one small action that would honor that part of me this week? It doesn't have to be a dramatic reinvention. It's just a small action, like writing a page or going to one class, or maybe doing a voice note in your phone with some idea that you want to actually put down. It could be a rehearsal that you do, a pitch or a walk that you do outside to get out of the rut maybe you've been in, or a conversation with someone that you know would be beneficial, a return. And let that action be simple enough to take so that you actually do it. So in this episode, we've stepped back and we've named the deeper work we've been walking through together. Creative identity work. The work of staying connected to who you are as an artist in a world that keeps pulling you towards comparison and noise and speed and hustle and visibility and self-doubt so often. Remember this. The deeper work is not becoming untouched by the world. It is becoming less easily erased by it. If this episode resonated, follow and subscribe to Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist so you don't miss what's next. And if these conversations have been helping you, it would mean a lot if you shared this episode with another creative soul or artist, or left a review. That helps more artists to find the podcast, and it helps this work travel beyond the people already listening. Next week, we are continuing with an episode about why the artist you are becoming still needs your attention. Before I close, I also want to mention my other podcast and work. andrewandlara.com is the website that hosts it all. It's Marriage, Intimacy and Healing with Andrew and Lara. It's a show for couples, marriages, relationships who want to understand each other more deeply, repair disconnection and build a healthier marriage with practical, beautiful, compassionate tools. And thank you for being here. Keep returning to the work. Keep reclaiming what is yours. And keep remembering you are not only making art, you are becoming the kind of artist who can carry your art. I'm with you on the journey. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Healthy, Wealthy, Wise Artist podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an inspiring conversation or actionable insight. You can read the show notes and learn more at larabiancapilcher.com. And be sure to share this episode with fellow artists who could use a little extra inspiration. Until next time, keep creating, stay audacious, and remember, your artistry matters.